Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me in this live webinar on how to improve your immune system. We're going to cover first what is immunity and how do we know if our immune system is strong. And second, what reduces our immunity, what makes us more vulnerable for infection, whether it's bacterial, viral, or fungal type of infection. So, and then last, we're going to talk about herbs, lifestyle habits, diets, dietary changes that we can do to strengthen our immunity. So, big subject and very valuable at this time because we want to all increase our immunity and be defensive and prevent any type of infection. So, first, it's important to understand, is your immune system strong? That's really the big question here. And the signs of good immunity are strength, vigor, good appetite, and of course, good libido and good stamina. Stamina, well, walking, well, doing chores, and of course, sexual stamina is also a sign, as per Ayurveda, of good immunity. The West looks at immunity in terms of the lymphatic system, the spleen, the white blood cells, endocrine system, and other aspects of our body. But Ayurveda kind of covers it all by talking about Ojas, which is covering all of the strength behind all the different mechanisms of our immune system. So we're really talking about building this Ojas, this inner strength that allows you to endure and fight off any types of pathogens, whether it's bacterial or viral or fungal. When you have good immunity, you don't, your immune system is then capable of defending itself against these pathogens. So first, we should look at ourselves and feel, do we feel strong? Do we have vigor? Can we go through the day without coffee? Or can we sleep good without sleeping medication, for example? These would be signs of good immunity. And of course, if you have a history of catching colds and flus and infections, then it's a sign your immune system is weak. Even if that's UTIs or other types of fungal infections on our toes, yeast infections in our body, or even candida, it's a type of yeast overgrowth. It shows a sign of poor immunity. So, you want to be able to classify yourself, first of all, if you have this strong or weak immunity, so if you have to really work on this area or not. The other day, I went to riding out in the rain with my horse and my dog, and we were riding in the rain in the evening, and the dog jumped in the river and was swimming in the river and came back and was strong, and the horse was vigorous, and we loved the ride, and we felt this kind of strength and vigor, even though we're out in the cold and the rain. But the dog, the horse, and nobody, fell sick. And that's a sign of good immunity, this, confidence, in a sense, that you will be protected because your immune system is doing good and is strong. So you should get a sense of it. It's more than just measuring your white blood cell count in your blood to understand your strength of your immune system. Second, let's talk about what depletes our immune system. So many people may already be taking actions every day and doing things every day that depletes their own immune system. And this is very important because before we get to the next part of this webinar on what we can do to strengthen and build our immunity and prevent infection, we need to first eliminate the actions that are reducing our immune strength. And so when we want to build immunity, it's a strengthening action. So that means it's the opposite of detoxing. So fasting, skipping meals for very long, not eating much, eating light, this is going to deplete your immunity, not strengthen your immunity. I mean, there's cases where short intermediate fasting can be beneficial, but if you want to have vigor and strength to be riding the horse in the rain at night and traveling all over India in the back streets and eating, food and not from small markets and not getting sick and things like that, which I'm known for, then you don't want to be fasting. You need to be eating wholesome food, nutritious food, and not be thinking in terms of detoxification and cleansing. You want to be thinking in terms of strengthening. So if you're light, underweight, depleted, been on a very restrictive diet, then there's a probability that your immune system is getting weaker, even though you may be losing weight. And for those people who are underweight, they're more vulnerable to infection because they don't have as much strength or ojas or this inner immune strength. So you don't want to be skipping meals. You don't want to be following an extreme diet where there's no grains or no. If you're weak and underweight and anemic, you don't want to be vegan or even vegetarian at this point. You want to focus on strengthening and building the body, building the nutrition, all whole foods. And even if you're eating a lot, but you're eating poor quality foods, junk foods or restaurant foods, then you're going to have a weaker immune system because the quality of the food is less. There's too much sugar and there's too much poor oils and fats in this restaurant food that's going to also not give you the good nutrition. Because in fact, if you're nutritionally deficient, whether you're low in zinc or D vitamin by not giving enough sun, for example, then also your immunity is low. So D vitamin deficiency will lower your immunity. So any deficiency, whether it's, your vitamin C, your zinc, or your D, these are the supplements people think of most when they think of building immunity. But you should be able to get most of this from your food and be able to, and going outside in the sun and sleeping well and digesting well. So another reason people have weak immunity is due to just poor nutrition. And that comes from poor digestion. So if you have a lot of gas, bloating, constipation, and you don't feel good after meals, you feel heavy, sluggish, and you have what we call malabsorption, then you probably also are having nutritional deficiencies because you're not absorbing the food properly. Then if you have nutritional deficiencies, then you're going to be, low in some of these vitamins we just mentioned and minerals, and you're going to be more susceptible to infection. Also, another cause of depleted immunity or weak immunity, besides just nutritional deficiencies, not eating enough, fasting, skipping meals, is stress. And where does the stress come from? It comes from our mind, our head, our thinking. So if we're worried about the future, overthinking about the past, because the future doesn't exist. It's only in your mind. So nobody really knows what's going to happen next. So, when we think of the future, that's going to create stress because we don't know what's going to happen. And when we, think too much about the past, he should have, I should have, we should have, I could have, all of these. And this also is creating more stress because the past only exists in your head too. There's only the moment. So only in the moment can you be at peace and can your mind be calm. So it's very important to keep the mind calm, not be stressed by too much news, too much information that's not relevant to you, not worrying about the future, not thinking about the past, staying in the moment and trying to keep your stress down, keep your body relaxed, because if you're stressed, then this can affect, again, your digestion. And many people know this. When they're stressed, not only can high blood pressure go up and can we have other issues, but our digestive system doesn't work as well when we're having anxiety and we've got the cortisol releasing, etc. Then again, the poor digestion leads to the poor nutrition. The poor nutrition leads to depletion in our tissues in our body and ultimately the depletion of our own immune strength, or in Ayurvedic terms, our ojas, the reservoir of our immunity. So staying calm, relaxing is also very important. And also not pushing ourselves too much. If we over-exercise, we're going to also deplete ourselves. making ourselves work too much is also going to be depleting for our body and create more stress. So everybody should relax more, sleep better. Of course, we know if we don't sleep good, we're also going to deplete our immunity. So you can see there's a lot of ways in our modern life of overeating, skipping meals, staying up late that can deplete you and make your immune system weaker and ultimately more vulnerable for infection. And many of us know this. When we travel, we get stressed out, we're not sleeping good on the plane, and then we come back with colds and flus and infections. And of course, being in that contained environment with all these other people, with all this bacteria and viruses in the air, we get we're exposed, but we're exposed all the time. We're breathing in millions of bacteria and viruses and pathogens every single day. So it's not the virus and the pathogen that we should be concerned about, because we can't control that. What we need to focus on is the soil, that where the virus or the pathogen could reside, and whether our soil is good and it will protect us, or whether it's depleted, just like in the garden. If the soil's bad, we're just going to grow weeds. So the weed is the undesired pathogen. So poor sleep is an issue. Over-exercise is an issue. And even over sexual activity, losing our reproductive fluids, both for the man and the woman, is very depleting, as every man knows, that you're losing some of your real inner strength. And according to Ayurveda, you're losing your immunity to a great extent by excess sexual activity. We won't get into the numbers here of how much that is, but I think you get the idea. You're trying to build and strengthen and not lose. So we don't want to stress ourselves out. We don't want to think too much. We don't want to worry too much. We want to sleep better. Don't want to push ourselves too much. And we want to eat good and have nice, healthy meals every day. So that's the things we can do in our lifestyle to help to avoid depleting ourselves and becoming more susceptible to infection. Okay, so I think those are what you should focus on first. And then second, we can start to take some supplements on top of that, which we know will build our immunity. And we can go back in time and we can look at what people used to do in the past to build their immunity. For example, sailors on a boat, what did they have so they wouldn't get sick? In the Scandinavian countries, cod liver oil. And of course, we know it's very high in vitamin D. We can see that we've got vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin A on there. So 1 teaspoon a day, you can have your daily allowance of vitamin D from cod liver oil. Or better just go out in the sun for 10 or 15 minutes a day if you have sun at your location. So that's a good start. And if you're very low in vitamin D, you can take a couple teaspoons a day. And now another great supplement is olive leaf oil, a kind of old Mediterranean method of improving immunity, preventing colds and flus. And it's not olive oil, it's the oil from the leaf of the olive plant. So very potent, very nice. This one's peppermint flavored. There's a few brands that make it. Very effective. 1 teaspoon and a day is quite ample. I didn't bring it here, but don't forget honey. Raw honey, is we've known for since the beginning of time that honey is one of the great nutritional gifts to humankind, and its benefits, particularly the bee propolis. This is what the bees made inside of the honeycomb to protect themselves from infection. And the bee propolis is very potent. It's been used for thousands of years. And honey is a great antimicrobial, antibacterial formula. Many wounds on dogs, cats, and animals. I've always used honey, and it's avoided infection very well, very well. Even very serious, deep wounds, I've used just cleansing every day with some cleanser. We'll talk about what can be used to cleanse a wound. And then putting honey in the wound, raw honey. You don't need to bring the honey from New Zealand. You should have your own local honey. Now, in the Middle East, they used, when they had a plague come by, they used black cumin seed oil. That's why the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that black cumin seed oil was a cure for all things but death itself. And they were known to take that when there was infection. Now, in India, they mostly took tulsi for their immune system. There's an empty bag of tulsi because I've used it up, tulsi powder. We have a tea here called immune tea. And you can see right there that the first three ingredients are tulsi, Rama tulsi, Varna tulsi, and Krishna tulsi, 3 types of tulsi. There's actually 5 types of tulsi, but I'm just getting 3. And then it's coming with a little licorice and cinnamon and ginger. All together, it's a very nice immune building formula, preventing infection. Now, if you do have an infection or a cold, then you'd want something a little stronger than this. But we're just talking about avoidance at this point. Here's another formula that I have, another immune tea, kind of using Western herbs. And there we go. The first herb is what? Echinacea. Then, peppermint for flavor. So, kids can drink it. Hibiscus, antioxidants, vitamin C. Lemon peel, again, antioxidants, vitamin C. Licorice root, just like in the other tea. And the licorice is has mild antimicrobial qualities and is very soothing for the respiratory system. And cinnamon, again, another tasty spice herb that helps with immunity to a small degree. It's got antimicrobial qualities to it. So if you didn't know what else to do and you didn't have anything else, you could just be drinking cinnamon, licorice, ginger tea all day with a little lemon. I mean, this will, to some degree, improve your immunity. Here's another product I liked, and this company, many people know about them. They have a whole range of wellness products, and some of the same herbs that I mentioned in here. I think there's echinacea, golden seal, olive leaf, oregano oil. I believe those are some of the ingredients in here, and they have it in tincture form, and they have it in capsule form, and very effective. I mean, this is so effective. It's got more than just immune supporting herbs like the formulas I just mentioned, but it does have some antibacterial, antiviral herbs in there, like olive leaf oil, and I think they put garlic in it as well, and that's will help fight off even a cold. I'm sure many people have had this product and had it in during a cold or fever, and found that it resolved it very quickly. So for that matter, we could just be looking at garlic. Garlic was once called the Russian antibiotic. I think as early back as the World War I, people were putting garlic straight on gun wounds to avoid infection. So you can't underestimate the power of garlic in building the immune system and fighting infection, because it's been used for many years for just this purpose. And of course, having some probiotics is often useful, particularly if you've had antibiotics in the last 6 months. And that's, of course, another reason many of us do get infections easy, is that's because we've had too much antibiotics. And the antibiotics has destroyed our intestinal flora, our healthy intestinal flora, and left us with the unhealthy intestinal flora, which also results in candida, yeast overgrowths. It's kind of like the weeds coming up in your yard because you killed all the healthy grass with your some poison, and then the weeds came in, and that's what antibiotic does. It may fight off your bacterial infection, which is good, but then you will also lose some healthy intestinal flora, which will lower your immune system. And I'm not a medical doctor, and I'm not giving anybody any medical advice on this video or in practice, but anybody on an immune suppressing drug, such as steroids, should be concerned about their immunity. And anybody taking like organ replacement rejection drugs to avoid the rejection of the organ, or anybody taking any immune suppressing drugs due to an autoimmune condition, should be more concerned about strengthening their immune system because of the immune suppressing qualities of their medication. But that's a side subject which you should speak to your medical doctor about. Here, I found this just the other day in Trader Joe's. They were out of toilet paper, but they did have immune echinacea, ginger, and lemon tea. So I bought 6 of these, skipped the toilet paper. I figure this is more useful than a toilet paper. And, it's not organic, but it was nice, pleasant. Kids drink it. And we do have that echinacea in there. I'm sure it wouldn't keep away a serious flu virus, but definitely it would boost your immunity. Oh, we did talk a little bit about bee products, bee pollen, bee propolis, all good for your immune system and strengthening you. And what else? Oh, and, just rinsing the throat with salt water every day is very good. Just gargling with salt water. If you get a sore throat or you start to feel the first signs of infection, you can start gargling with salt water. And, and I don't discourage taking vitamins. I just think we should get a good brand of vitamins and not a cheap brand. We should have, food-based vitamins. It is 2020 now, and we have food-based vitamins. So there are a few companies that have natural vitamin C that's extract from fruits and vegetables. And we have companies providing even natural vitamin D. If you're a vegan, you don't want to do the cod liver oil, they have vitamins D now from mushrooms. And I brought some mushrooms here. That's what here's some reishi mushrooms right here. Reishi mushrooms is known to help not only with cardiovascular conditions, but increasing white blood cell count and improving immunity, along with shilaki and other mushrooms. And of course, even if you're just cooking, you could just cook with more garlic, more thyme, more oregano. These are all going to, strengthen the immune system and help you to fend off more pathogens or avoid infection. So just the way you cook can help you to strengthen your immunity. Oh, here's Oregon grape root. This is the main ingredient in the cold and flu tea that I have that helps fight off infection. Here's a formula that I made recently. It's based on suggestions from Indian doctors in India, and we call it Immune Formula 2020 for our new times. And this is increasing immunity and preventing infection. And there we can see a tulsi as the first ingredient, and dado haldi. Dado haldi in Sanskrit means turmeric. So dado haldi means like super turmeric. So it's better than turmeric. We use it instead of turmeric because turmeric is not that potent. Dado haldi is similar. It's very similar to it, even has a similar taste, but it's much more effective in dealing with infections. And there's guduchi, which is the renowned Ayurvedic herb for modulating the immune system. In fact, it's used for autoimmune conditions as well, but also helps immunity. And then we've got amlaki. That's coming from the amla berry. And the amla berry we know is the most concentrated food of vitamin C, and it's used for antioxidants and supporting the immunity. And then we're just balancing it out with a little licorice and a little cinnamon to make it more pleasant and a little more benefit. So this is very effective. So, a good combination would just be, drink the tea all day, give the tea to your children. And if somebody's more susceptible to infection, then they can also be taking some immune formula and putting it in the tea and having this in a couple times a day and avoiding all the actions that can deplete your immune system. Oh no, it doesn't mean you don't have any sex. It just means, it's not too much. You have to allow the body to be rejuvenate itself and be strong. And you want to feel that strength. So that covered it. It was a big subject, but I got through it pretty quick there. And I hope that helped you to see that the objective is to strengthen your immune system and be defensive, and not to stress, not to worry, and to just know that you're eating well, that you're taking care of your body, you're not stressing yourself out, not overworking, not over pushing yourself. You're having your 3 meals a day, and you're using some of these spices that I mentioned here, cooking with more garlic and onions, sleeping earlier, getting more sleep, making sure you're nice and rested. And then on top of that, you can take the herbal teas. You can do Western teas like I mentioned, the echinacea, the golden seal, the Oregon grapefruit, the thyme, the oregano, so many. You don't have to take them all. You just need 1 or 2 of them. You don't have to throw them all in one big pot and think that's going to make it stronger. No, that's kind of a kitchen sink approach to herbalism. You just need 1 or 2 good ones, and then you can put it in some licorice or cinnamon and take this as a little homemade tea that you have every day. And you can add a little honey to it, honey to your food. And of course, I didn't mention that sugar also depletes our immune system. And we all know that sugar is kind of like an anti-nutrient, that when we have it a lot, we actually have nutritional deficiencies. It depletes us of nutrients, and it stimulates us, gives us energy, kind of like coffee and sugar, and then we don't eat. So if you're living off of coffee, or living off of sugar, or living off of some stimulant like Red Bull or something like that, then this could kind of make your whole system and metabolism overactive. Then you don't eat, you don't build immunity, you actually are depleting yourself, and maybe at night you just crash out of exhaustion, and you're not building yourself. You should eat, stay calm, go to sleep early, and avoid these type of stimulants, and avoid eating sweets, cookies, candy, chocolate, these type of things. No, chocolate is not the healthy food. I know people would love to think that eating cacao, dark chocolate, is healthy, but cacao is inflammatory, and it always is coming with some sugar. So it's a time to avoid these things, and to just get walk around your house, or get outside, get some sunshine, be cooking foods and home cooked foods in your house, and take care of yourself, and sleep early. These would be the best advice. And then if you have any concerns about your immunity, then you can contact me, and I could do an appointment with you and provide you with some of these herbal formulas. And if you have other health conditions as well, you may want to work on them. Now is the best time to work on improving all of your health. I always say to people, if you're taking any medication, then you're no longer healthy. That's why you're taking the medication. So I encourage the client to always, change your diet, change your lifestyle, take herbal supplements, so you can avoid having to take medication, and you can remain truly healthy. Because when we're taking multiple medications, then we have multiple health problems, and some of these medications could be immune suppressing. So it's better to focus on keeping ourselves healthy, so we don't have to depend on medication, but we can take care of ourselves through self-care, changing our diet, changing our lifestyle, and and working with herbal remedies, so we can remain truly healthy. So once again, health is not just having a good six-pack, or or being at a certain weight, or having muscles, or having a lot of Instagram likes. Health is having this immunity and this inner strength that prevents you from having any type of infection. So I hope that helped you. I'll stay here for a little bit and answer questions for those who remain in this webinar. Okay, folks. Now I can relax. I did my job. Any questions over there? Still got a lot of people signed up. Usually I only get this many people when it's a weight loss program. Okay, I'm waiting for the questions. Davor, Andra, thanks for the good wishes. Thanks for the feedback. And, yes, I am providing appointments, of course, for, people who want to build their immune system. There's my little discount there on the side. Somebody's asking, how can we order herbal remedies via Skype? I do require an appointment because I have such a variety of different types of treatments for different people that, to be really effective, I do appointment where people fill out a form first and answer some questions so I can understand their whole situation, their health history, any medication, any supplements they're taking, and the diet. I can see the whole picture before the appointment. Then we do the appointment. Then we talk about changing the diet, changing the lifestyle. All of these are very important too. And then I can recommend herbs to help you sleep, help you have better digestion, help you have better elimination, and of course, having some of these immune formulas. And now if you mention that you saw me on webinar, all you got to do is mention it. Then instead of 65 for a Skype appointment, it's only 50. But if you book it online, you can hit that button there to schedule online and see my schedule. It will say 65, but when you do the appointment, just remind me that you were at a webinar, and then I'll give you this discount. And then after the appointment, we'll talk about my recommended products for your health. I'll send you some dietary plans, some menus, and we'll spend probably most of the time on your diet and your lifestyle and helping you find alternatives for some of the things you're doing now, like, maybe some adrenal tea instead of your coffee, maybe having fruit at night instead of sweets, things like that. So, and then I'll mail you the herbs in the mail, and you'll get those in a few days. And then you can take the herbs and feel that you've not only built your immune system, but improved your overall health, which should be your real objective. Oh, we have some questions over here. Sorry, I missed that. Andre, that's a very good question. Do we have different immune support depending on the dosha? Yeah, we didn't want to use a lot of Ayurvedic terms there. I wanted it to be general for the public. But yeah, in fact, we have Ayurvedic formulas for Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, because if you notice a lot of these, if you know some of the herbs, like Dado Haldi or even this can increase our not so much Tulsi, but some of these strong antimicrobials like Neem, for example, and Kalmeg, which I didn't even mention. These increase Vata, and and this could increase anxiety. So we have to be very careful with some people if we're trying to increase their immune system and they already have anxiety and nervousness and depletion. Then we would we have to make different formulas, putting more licorice in it, more cinnamon in it, so it's more balancing Vata, and avoid some of these really strong antimicrobials. I didn't really talk about that, but I have some people like pick really strong antimicrobial herbs like olive leaf oil or neem, and then just start taking lots of it. But they don't realize that's very depleting. It can fight infection, but it's not building immunity. You have to understand the difference between the two. That fighting infection is one, objective when you have an infection, but building immunity is completely different. So if you have an infection, then you have stronger antimicrobial, antiviral, antibacterial herbs, which somewhat can be depleting, just like taking your antibiotic. If you take too much neem, eventually you'll start to kill your own healthy bacteria, and even can deplete your reproductive system. For example, neem itself was used as a male contraceptive in the past. They took so much of it, it depleted their sperm count, and they used it as a contraceptive. So you don't want to be just taking these strong, antiviral herbs like olive leaf oil or oregano oil. I see people take it a lot because it's almost too strong to build your immunity. So there's a difference between herbs for immunity and herbs to fight viral infections. Can you talk more about olive leaf or vata? Not good for low blood pressure. Well, olive leaf oil does help with circulation. And, that's another reason why I do appointments, is some herbs could increase your blood pressure and some herbs could lower your blood pressure. So, you have to know somebody's overall condition. That's a very good question. And some of these strong herbs like black cumin seed, it's very heating, very hot. If somebody has acidity, heartburn, stomach ulcers, and they take that, it could get worse. If somebody's, very sensitive to spicy foods and hot foods, maybe they had some type of ulceration before, then you have to be more gentle in the approaches. But, I wouldn't, olive leaf oil, if you're just having a little bit of it, you can put it in some ginger tea, or you can have it with a meal. So this would offset its effects. So sometimes just taking supplements on an empty stomach is very different than taking a supplement, with food. And some people, children, sensitive people, are going to do much better taking some of these supplements and even herbs with the food compared to empty stomach. So again, to answer your question there, Andra, yeah, it's better to have these formulas adjusted, for you, to make sure we don't, increase anxiety, increase blood pressure, lower blood pressure, or increase, kind of aggravate like a stomach ulcer. So any pitta prakriti, or person who has high pitta, we get that's the pitta. That's the vata. I can't see kapha over there, but pitta, he's warm, hot, has a high warm body temperature, easy to get acidity, heartburn. Some of these supplements I mentioned would be counterindicated. So, yeah, that's one reason we do appointments, so we can, get the right formula for the person. But this particular one here, this one I just made recently this year, Immune Formula 2020, is pretty mild, and I made it to be somewhat more tridoshic, so Vata, Pitta, and Kapha could have it. I have another immune formula that has a little neem in it, little kalmeg in it, but I think it was a little strong for daily use, unless you were really exposed to bacterial viral infections, like on a plane. When I'm on a plane, I take this other immune formula I have that's a little stronger, but I know I'm in that environment. I'll only be in there for one day, and then I take that. But that was a good question. Some more questions there for me? I'm glad you found the chat there. Olive leaf oil. And that olive leaf oil, by the way, it's like practically sold out on Amazon, somebody told me. And like I mentioned at the beginning of this webinar before I recorded, you can, I have three videos on YouTube on these three subjects. What is immunity? How we deplete our immune system, and what we can do to strengthen our immunity. So the same three subjects I covered here, I have three videos on YouTube. So, I hope that helps the majority of people. But if you have other health issues or other health complications, or you're very sensitive vata, or you've had a stomach ulcer in the past, or you feel you're very vulnerable to infection, then it's probably better you do an appointment to make sure that we are addressing your individual needs and preparing, providing, more personal, individualized treatment, because then you get the proper success. When you're online just researching, most people are confused and they don't know whether it's suitable for them. It could have been suitable for the person who wrote the article or published it, but it doesn't mean it's suitable for everybody. So you have to be very careful what you read online about supplements. And unfortunately, that's why, supplements and herbs sometimes get a bad rap, is because, there's nobody really with knowledge prescribing them. People are just picking them on their own, and then it doesn't work. I always say, we don't go online to fix our car. We don't go start Googling why is smoke pouring out of the back of our car. We just figure if we don't know why the smoke's coming out of the back of our car, then we probably don't know enough to fix it, and we should just take it to a mechanic. So, if you have a serious health condition like blood sugar, diabetes, or arthritis, joint pain, it's better off to, you know, to try to, get some professional help. I've helped a lot of people with these conditions, and you can see this in my testimonials. And then you will get better results and be happy that you spent a little money to get some professional, accurate, individualized advice and customized herbal formulas instead of things on the shelf. And yeah, somebody just mentioned about the quality. Yeah, that's a good point. The quality of these herbs is very important. If you don't have quality herbs, then you have another issue. Somebody just asked about Shilajit. That's a good point. Shilajit's not really known to be a super immune booster. I mean, but yes, taking a little Shilajit every day. But Shilajit also, it's a matter of quality. And all these herbs, whether we're talking echinacea or tulsi, Shilajit, quality is very important. A lot of times when we're buying herbs in the store, they're in capsule, they've been sitting on the shelf a long time, they've been exposed to the air in their processing. By the time you get them, they're old. And since they're just labeled as chamomile or Shilajit, or we don't really often know where they're from, where they were harvested in the case of plants, or which country they came from in the case of Shilajit. It's just like saffron. There's so many different grades and qualities of saffron that, we really have to know this. And of course, now everybody knows about cannabis, and there's, you just can't say, oh, I'm having some cannabis or CBD and it's not working. Well, it's just not enough information. I mean, we need to know, what strain of the plant you had, where it came from. There's a whole science behind it of getting good quality and suitable, cannabis or CBD. And so it's not just as simple as knowing the herb, but you have to be sure you're getting a good source. Even cinnamon. I mean, there's many types of cinnamon as well. But yeah, just a little Shilajit every day. It's going to be a good idea. It's going to be helpful. Shilajit's always considered like a panacea in Ayurveda, where it's just good for everybody. It's full of minerals and trace minerals and folic acid, and you can think of it like a mineral supplement. So it's supporting deficiency. When people take Shilajit and they get energy, then that's because they had some type of mineral deficiency. And when they got these trace minerals in their body, then metabolic actions work better, and then they had more energy. Now I'm taking Shilajit and I could take a handful of it. I don't feel any more energy than my usual energetic self. But if I do go for a horse ride in the rain, I'll generally take some ashwagandha and some ginseng to get me going. So give me more stamina and more boost than the Shilajit will in the short term. Shilajit's more long term, a mineral supplement. But anything that's a supplementing, building, whether it's vitamin C, Shilajit, healthy meals, chicken soup, then these are all going to be beneficial for you compared to, running for an hour on a treadmill, skipping meals, eating salads, and having a lot of sex. That's depleting. And partying all night. But yeah, so another question here. Yeah, a lot of drugs, recreational drugs too, can be very depleting. That's correct. So I'm flipping between the chat and the questions here, looking for more questions. So we still got a lot of people logged on here. Sure got people's attention, building your immunity. I'm glad to hear that. So, well, here's why don't you recommend exercise? Well, it's not that I don't recommend exercise. It's the excess, walking. It's the best exercise. Just eat and go for a walk. This is a nice exercise. You don't want to overexert yourself. If you got a little treadmill because you're stuck at home, you don't want to until you get the light sweat, but you don't want to be like, what we'd say killing ourselves or have this mentality of no pain, no gain. We don't want to do that, because then we're depleting ourselves. So definitely you have to stay active. I mean, I didn't say it, but sure, sitting around doing nothing, not exercising is maybe worse, but so everything in moderation. You don't want to overeat and you don't want to starve yourself. Unfortunately, in our society, we tend to do both, either overeating or, fasting, depleting, just skipping meals all the time. Yeah, balance. That's right, Jessica, balance. It's all balance. And that balance could be different for different people. If you're an overweight person and you're a little, good 50, 100 pounds overweight, then, exercise is going to be more in your beneficial and helpful to you than somebody who's already thin and possibly underweight, who should be taking naps. So it really depends on the person too. If you're thin and underweight and everybody says, "Hey girl, are you eating?" Then you shouldn't be exercising. But if you're clearly overweight and you've been sitting on the sofa all day watching Netflix and not moving much, then yeah, you'd be better off to be on the treadmill and and jogging and so it depends on the individual too. Yeah, so Jessica, maybe you're over exercising. Yeah. I'm glad you came to that conclusion there. Thanks for that feedback and acknowledgement. The first step is always acceptance. Accept. Oh my God, I'm overdoing it, and we tend to be extreme in our approach. Often, when we find something good, like everybody's just having turmeric every day, and then everybody's having manuka honey every day, and so we tend to overdo something that's good, and we overdo even a good thing, it no longer becomes healthy for us. So once again, thanks for that comment there and pitching in. I'm moving over to my question section here. See any more questions? Thanks for sharing. Great. Thanks, Kristen. And, feel free to contact me. I mean, hey, we had in the new economic environment, we got lower rates, so that's good. We're free at home. So it's a good time to take care of your health, cook. You can't go out to restaurants anyway, so you might as well stay home and cook home-cooked meals and spend time together taking care of your health. And you can do appointment, and I can mail you the herbs, and hopefully you have the time to spend to take the herbs and take care of yourself. So we can see these trying times in a positive light that gives us an opportunity for the next few weeks to improve our health and strengthen our immunity. And seems like based on the turnout here, over 100 people registered and a lot showed up here. I can see from the names. And still, people are hanging in there listening, that people are now interested in building immunity. And that is what it's really all about. Longevity and immunity. That's all you should be really thinking about, not the six-pack. I got a little belly down here. Well, I don't care about that little belly. What I care about is immunity and strength. We often have misconceptions over what is healthy. We think that being skinny is healthy. We think that, having a six-pack or a great cleavage is healthy. But this is not healthy. And a lot of people, particularly women, are underweight. And everybody thinks, oh, you look healthy because you're skinny. Well, it's looking good from the modern concept of looking good is not, it doesn't equate with health. A lot of times underweight people are the first to tell you that they get sick easy, they feel weak easy, they feel tired easy, they feel fatigued in the afternoon, they don't sleep well, they're tossing and turning at night. So that's not healthy. No matter how many Instagram likes you got or how sexy you look, that's not healthy. And I'm really think this is a great wake-up call for us to, focus on true health and not be thinking of this type of false, look good on the outside and think we're healthy when on the inside we don't have the stamina and the strength to prevent ourselves from getting reoccurring infections or the flu, or just not having good energy throughout the day. So I think this is more important. Have this energy, immunity, and then longevity. So this Ojas in Ayurveda also is showing your longevity. The person who's not has energy, who's not getting sick easy, is also the sign the person's going to live longer. So I think that's more important than cleavage. I mean, we all love cleavage, but it's just not true health. Sorry to say. Yeah. So people say, "Hey, you're bald. Do you care about your bald?" No, I don't care if I'm bald. It's not important to me. What's important is my immunity, my energy, my stamina, and my longevity. Okay. Oh, we got another question here. Okay. I'm glad the presentation was useful. Thanks. No problem. I'm saying this to my clients every day. And the same, information. When you're my client, I do an appointment with you on Skype, then I'm adjusting it just for you. I'm customizing it just for you. For if you're overweight and heavy, you don't get to eat sweet potatoes and butter. But if you're underweight and you're weak, then you get a sweet potato and butter. So it's always good to not think, oh, something's good, something's bad. It's kind of a simplistic view of food and herbs and even our health. You have to look at yourself and listen to your own body. If you're thin, weak, and underweight, and you love sweet potato and butter, then it's probably good for you. Of course, if you just love In-N-Out burger, doesn't always mean it's good for you, but it may mean that you're craving a protein. It may mean that you're anemic and you're craving that meat. And sometimes people who are vegan, particularly young women who are having menstruation and losing blood, they're craving hamburger, they're craving meat, but they're not doing it because, out of respect for the animals, which I respect this moral choice. But at the same time, the body is craving for some meat. And in this case, it would be better for the young woman who's losing blood, who's anemic, to just have some ground beef in her soup and overcome the anemia than to remain weak and fatigued. So, okay, still got a lot of people hanging in there, and I'm still live on YouTube. So, looking for more questions there. Yep, I'm reading there. Yep, that's right. So everybody's another question about the diet could be different for each person to build immunity. That's correct. Yes. So, just like I said, some foods like beef could be building immunity for a thin, underweight, anemic girl. Well, beef could clog and be adversely affected, counterindicated, we should say, to somebody who's overweight with high cholesterol and fatty liver and poor circulation. They can't be eating, beefsteak. This would only make their overall condition worse. And somebody's asking about allergies in relationship to weak immunity. Yeah, I should have mentioned that in the beginning. If you have a lot of allergies, sneezing, coughing, respiratory problems, then, this is also a sign of immunity. I could probably do a whole nother webinar. I think I will next Thursday at the same time on respiratory conditions, because that's the next area you really need to be focused on. If you have any kind of respiratory issue, asthma, bronchitis, breathing problems, congestion, breathing problems at night, then you also want to be concerned, because the respiratory system, like so many other aspects of our body, has a mechanism to prevent infection, and it's moving contaminants and out of the alveoli, the bronchi, and particularly trying to avoid them getting to the lower lungs and moving them out. And if they don't, then this creates an environment for bacteria and viruses to breed, we could say. So that's why if you have any congestion or respiratory issues, you have to take particular careful in in clearing this respiratory condition as quickly as possible and improving it before you are infected with any kind of virus or bacteria. So there we have all different herbs and treatments. We have respiratory formulas for productive respiratory conditions where you're having mucus and phlegm, and then non-productive. And then we have respiratory allergy formulas. So yeah, the answer is yes. If you're getting a lot of allergies, then we can see that the immune system is, we could say overreacting and over-responding, and we have to modulate the immune system. So, you don't want an overactive immune system either. Have to be a little careful. For example, I've had some people with autoimmune conditions who were, I'm thinking of one person in particular, had psoriasis, and they were taking the reishi mushrooms every day. And the psoriasis wasn't getting better with the herbal treatment. And then we stopped the reishi mushrooms, which wasn't my advice, something they were doing. And the autoimmune condition actually improved. So, if an autoimmune condition, you overstimulate the immune system, it can get worse. And then of course, when we have allergies, we always know there's issue with the liver. So we end up having to treat the liver. So a lot of times people with allergies and, and sneezing, coughing, seasonal allergies, we generally give you a liver herbs. And, I have many videos and webinars on treating the liver. So yes, your answer is yes. If you have a lot of allergies, it's a sign of poor immunity. Okay, we got some more questions over here. Yep. Well, I'm glad somebody's interested in the respiratory allergy. I think that's what I'm going to do next week. I'm just kind of winging these webinars a week at a time now. I just launched this one only a few days ago, and it was a lot of sign up. I guess people are at home, so they're more available than the past. So that's good. We're spending your time educating yourself to improve your health and protect your family. So next week, I think I agree. There's a few people just said they're interested in that next week. And we'll do respiratory conditions, respiratory health. And there we'll address, asthma, bronchitis, allergies, and what can be done on a dietary basis, lifestyle. And then, of course, being an herbalist, we have herbs for everything. So still a lot of people hanging in there. That's wonderful. I think I made it on. Oh, here's some more questions down here. I'm flipping between the questions, so feel free to send a few more. That's what's keeping me going here. Yep. If you have breathing problems, then yeah, definitely you become more susceptible to any type of airborne infection. Oh, I mean, there was other things that I didn't even cover. And then you go watch the YouTube videos and I got more details. I don't feel as pressured when I'm making a YouTube video than when I'm live. But also just, I think on the YouTube video I burned some sage during the video. So, traditionally we know the Native Americans, they would burn sage. If everybody started catching the flu and sick, they went in their sweat lodges and, and sweat it out, which helps to really detox the body through the skin without depleting you. And then they inhaled all the sage and other herbs, and this just cleaned out their respiratory system. So, smudging sage. And I saw some scientific research recently said, well, we're not so sure about echinacea, but definitely smudging with, with herbs seems to definitely kill bacteria, airborne bacteria in the air. So I said, wow, it's good. Science is finally catching up. Slowly science will figure out these herbs over time. They just have to research them, and it's just taking some time for science to, kind of catch up, because they that left brain mentality, they need to have proof and evidence. But in fact, indigenous tribes have always known what to do and what to take for this type of avoiding infection, fighting infection. And some of these, I showed you. So yeah, burning sage in the air is very good. And hand sanitizer, we just cooking clove We get clove. You can just get clove, put a, 5 or 6 tablespoons of clove in a big pot of water, boil it, add a couple drops of tea tree oil, put it in a spray bottle. You can spray the whole house with it, spray your hands with it, wash hands. Clove and tea tree oil are very effective in fighting infection. So you can smoke the whole environment, with sage. Or the Indians, they use neem. They just burn the neem in the air and kill the infection. So there's different things you could burn. I think you could burn tulsi, you can burn other herbs as well. Will fight pathogens in the air. And then you can also make different types of hand sanitizers, even just tea tree oil and some water, and just, staying sterile. I think it's very good that we're learning to, sterilize our environment. Oh, somebody says here that sounds great. But burning sage sets off your asthma. Yeah, you got to treat the asthma here. That's really what this is all about here, is thinking deeper into our health conditions and saying, well, I just don't want to, live forever with this health condition. I'd rather be healthy and resolve it once and for all. And, herbal treatments, they take some work. It's type of self-care. I'm not treating anybody. I'm advising people and providing the herbs. They're doing the treatment themselves. So it does take some work. You may have to take your, allergy, asthma, respiratory formula for 3 to 6 months. But, the herb is actually doing something. I have a lung tea, for example, that's a decongestant and expectorant, and it's helping to clear mucus out of the lungs. And you start drinking this tea and you start spitting out phlegm balls and you start cleaning out. Within a few days, you're breathing better. We had the fires up here in the mountains, and after that, everybody had this breathing problem, and I gave out that lung tea. And a month later, people still were spitting out black phlegm a month later with this tea. So, this tea is an action. It's like it's actually detoxing your lungs. And so you may have to do it for 3 months, 6 months, maybe longer. But when, it's done, then the breathing is good and you resolve the problem and you're avoiding some of the causes, which could be your own digestion in the case of respiratory problems, then you don't have to keep taking the herb. That's the great advantage over herbs, whether you're treating your blood pressure, and improving your cardiovascular function, or you're improving your respiratory system. Once you have the herb that's improving it, you just have to keep taking it until it's improved that system in your body and restored the tissue to its healthy state again. And then you don't have to keep taking the herbs. They're not made to take forever. So I know I've helped a lot of people with respiratory issues. You can go to my website, ksouthwick.com, and you can go look under testimonials. And I have so many hundreds of testimonials. I categorize them in separate categories, and I have a whole category just for respiratory conditions. And there you can see big, long testimonials of people who took inhalers and asthma medication for many years and were able to be off of this medication in a matter of months by treating themselves with changes to their diet and taking herbal remedies. So, please contact me if you'd like help to resolve your asthma condition. So, all right, still a lot of people logged on, but I guess we'll call it a webinar if we've got no more questions. But yeah, good response. Good response. I think it's a good thing. People are thinking of their health more. It's all we're slowing down, not working as hard. You notice the current situation we're in is in many ways building our immune system by not going out much, not exposing ourselves, not eating in restaurants, not partying late at night, not drinking, cooking more food at home, sleeping earlier, working less. Well, a wonderful thing is by staying home, it's improving your immune system. And hopefully you have less stress if you're getting paid still. Hopefully your stress didn't increase due to this situation. Oh, you still got some more questions here. Let me go take a look. Chat, public chat. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, pollution is a factor. Yes, somebody's asking for the website. Southwick.com. And you can schedule right from there. You could go to right to this link here in the window. Where's that? Right there. That goes right to my website there. So my picture with my only picture with the tie on, just for the but yeah, somebody was mentioning pollution too. That's right. Any kind of pollution, I didn't even cover that. This also, is affecting our respiratory condition. We'll cover this more next week, and then making us more vulnerable. So, as I mentioned in my video on the same subject of what reduces our immunity, chemicals in our foods, preservatives, dyes, environmental pollution, all will adversely affect our immunity. And sometimes some of these chemicals are making our immune system overreact and leading to autoimmune conditions. And then this can lead to, we have to take immune suppressing drugs. And then we end up with the weakened or compromised immune system. So, and it could have started with the toxins that you were exposed to, either environmental toxins or, toxins that came from, a poor food quality. So I hope everybody's at home cooking now. I'm looking for the button to end this, and feel free to contact me. I hope to hear from some of you. Usually after I do these videos the next day, I meet a few of the people. You can go right to my website and just book an appointment. You don't have to call me. I mean, it's open. I'm not as busy as usual, so it's not too difficult to find a time. Thanks, Debbie, for the feedback. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I do hope to help as many people as I can. But it's always better to get professional help if you feel that it's needed, and not to wing it. Okay, I think we'll call it a webinar here.